Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. This is our second video of our Microsoft Azure learning series. It is also the second part of our first module, cloud concepts. In the previous video, we talked about what is cloud computing, what was the need for cloud computing, and how it helps us to solve the problems of traditional computing models, traditional data center problems, etc. And we have also seen what are the different deployment models for cloud computing, like public cloud, private cloud, and hybrid cloud. Based on the scenarios and the requirements for organizations, they need to choose what models fit them best. So either they can go for public cloud or private cloud or hybrid cloud. So in this video, we will be talking about the cloud benefits and considerations. So let's start. Cloud benefits and considerations. So the objective of this domain is identify the benefits of cloud computing such as high availability, scalability, elasticity, agility, and disaster recovery. Identify the difference between capital expenditure CapEx and operational expenditure OpEx. Describe the consumption based model. So in the subsequent slides, we'll be seeing all these in much detail. So let's proceed. So these are the different cloud benefits. Let's see each of them one by one. So first is high availability. What this means is your applications and resources should always be highly available. So suppose there could be scenario where you, your virtual machine is down due to some reasons. So your application is not available to users. So you need to design your infrastructure or architecture in such a way that it is always available to end users. So suppose you have only one virtual machine running in Azure. So virtual machines are running in some hardware server. Okay, at the end it is all hardware. So virtual machine is running on particular hardware, and that hardware is having some power and cabling. So suppose due to some reason there is a power loss or hardware fails, so your application goes down. Your user won't be able to access your application anymore. So in that scenario, you need to design your application architecture in such a way that it is always be available to end user even in case of some failures. So what you can do in that case is deploy two virtual machines in two different servers. Okay, so even if one server is down, the other server will be processing your user's request. So your user can use the application even in some failure scenario. Okay, so your application would be highly available. So with cloud computing, you can achieve high availability. We'll be seeing how Azure helps you to maintain high availability in the subsequent lessons. Next one is fault tolerance. So this goes as the same with high availability. Means even if there is some failure in your hardware, your application should be available. It should be fault tolerant because there is a fault, like there is a power loss or the hardware failed. So this is a fault. So your application and the infrastructure should be fault tolerant. Means even if there is a fault, it, it should be available to the end users so that they don't notice there is any problem. So cloud computing also helps you with fault tolerance. At the end we all want the best user experience, so it always should be available to end users. They don't like to get any errors like error 404 not found. So that's why we need to have a highly available and fault tolerant architecture. So cloud computing helps us with that. Now the third one is a scalability. So you can always increase your resources with cloud. So in traditional data center, suppose you have some fixed amount of resources. To increase the resources, you would need to buy extra servers, right? So that would again take time. But with cloud computing, scalability is really easy. Suppose you have an virtual machine of size 2 vCPU and 8 GB of RAM. So consider a startup. it has suppose one virtual machine running in the public cloud of size 2 vCPU and 8 GB of RAM. So at the start, there were not very much users using the application, so it was going very smooth. Your virtual machine was able to serve the user's traffic, and your user will be accessing the application very easily. But suppose your startup became famous, and now it's a well-established organization. The users are increasing. So with scalability and with increasing number of users, more traffic will be hitting your website, right? So your virtual machines would need to process more requests. So in that case, it would decrease the performance of your virtual machine. So what you could do is, so you can increase your resources. So to serve the traffic better, the more resources, the more easily traffic will be divided into different resources. So scalability is of two types: horizontal scalability and vertical scalability. So let's see what this means. So let's see first vertical scalability. With vertical scalability, you can scale up your resources. You can scale up. So means you had a virtual machine of 2 vCPU and 8 GB RAM. So you can increase the size of it to either 8 vCPU or 32 GB RAM or 64 GB RAM. So based on the requirement. So if the size is increased, it would be able to handle more requests, because the better the resource, the better the performance. So with scale up, you increase the configuration of your machine. That same virtual machine, you increase its configuration from 2 vCPU 8 GB RAM to 8 vCPU 32 GB RAM. Okay, so this is scaling up to better serve the traffic. Now in horizontal scaling, what we do is we create the same another virtual machine of the same configuration. So we had a virtual machine of 2 vCPU and 8 GB RAM. So we will create another virtual machine with same configuration, 2 vCPU and 8 GB RAM. So now these both virtual machine will serve the traffic. We don't increase the configuration, we increase the number of virtual machines here in horizontal scaling. So this is also known as scale out. Scale out. So suppose now two virtual machines are not able to serve the traffic, we increase virtual machine number by one more. So now we have three virtual machines running with the same configuration, 2 vCPU and 8 GB RAM. So now these three virtual machine will serve the traffic. So you will have a better performance. So this is horizontal scaling. So with cloud computing, you can achieve the scalability. Now this is scalability is one way, means you can increase your resource. Now to decrease, suppose now let's get into elasticity, so we'll understand more. So scalability is one way. You can scale up your resources and scale out your resources. Now with elasticity, let's suppose there is a festival. Okay, so earlier there were not much users, so it was running very smoothly with 2 vCPU and 8 GB RAM machine. Now the festival came, so suppose you are an e-commerce organization, so you have an e-commerce website running. So during festival and sale, more users will be hitting your web application. So you increase your resources with either scale up or scale out. Now suppose the festival and sale ends. Okay, so you need to come back to your original size, right? Suppose at the start 500 users were hitting your website. Now during festival 5,000 now hitting your website. So you increase your resources, handle the traffic very well. Now festival ended. Now you have only again 500 users coming to your website. So what's the use of the scaling up of the resources now? Because those resources will get wasted. Because earlier 2 vCPU and 8 GB of machine was serving very well to 500 users. So instead of running 8 vCPU and 32 GB for forever, you need to come back to your original size to save the resource and save the cost also, which is very important factor. So you need to come back to your original size. That's what elasticity is. It is both ways. Increase the resource and then decrease the resource to come back to your original size when your purpose is done. Whenever there is a demand, increase the resource. Whenever the demand goes, decrease the resource. So this is how elasticity works. So it's like a rubber. You stretch out, it it is elastic in nature. You stretch rubber, it becomes more than its original size. When you lose it, it comes back to its original size. So this is elasticity. So the in also elasticity has two terms for coming back, right? So in scalability we had scale up. So now come back to original size. In vertical scaling it is called as scaling down. Scale down, the opposite of scale up is scale down, and the opposite of scale out in terms of horizontal scaling is scale in means removing the number of virtual machines which you had. Suppose you had three virtual machines running due to demand. Now the demand decreases, so you come back to your one virtual machine. And in scale down, you made your virtual machine to 8 vCPU and 32 GB RAM. Now you come back to its size of 2 vCPU and 8 GB RAM again. So this is how elasticity works. Fifth is global reach. You can go global within minutes with cloud computing. So let's take an example of Microsoft Azure. Azure has data centers all over the world. Means in various geographies they have data centers. So if you want to deploy your application in various parts of the world to serve various customers, so you can do that very easily. Like I said, you can go global in matter of time. So all you have to do is your application is developed already. All you have to do is just deploy virtual machines or any other resources in different regions and deploy your web application in those virtual machines. Your virtual machine will be present in different regions. So you can go global, right? So this is how it works. Deploy a virtual machine in North America, South America, India, and etc. And all you have to do is just deploy your application in North America in those virtual machines. And also deploy your web application in virtual machine South America. Same goes for India. Okay, so you are global. You don't have to manually set up your data center in each geography and regions. So with cloud computing, this is very easy. Go global reach. Now another is customer latency capabilities. Suppose let's understand the term latency first. So whenever the request is initiated by a user, so whenever the request gets to web server, it returns a response back. So that response time is called latency. Whenever you type www.google.com, your request and traffic hits the web server which is running the website of Google. Okay, now the web server Google web server gives you the response back and the web page gets loaded in your browser. So this is what latency is, the response back time. So no user wants more latency. Like if you type www.google.com and the web browser is just loading the page and after 5 minutes you are getting the result. So that would destroy the user experience, right? You need a better user experience. So we all expect fast response from the web server. So with cloud computing, you again can achieve this easily. Suppose your customers are based in North America and you are currently present as a developer in India. So you can't deploy your web application in India, right? Because if a user initiates a request from North America, it would take so much time to get the request and then give the response back. So latency will be increased. So you want less latency. So just using Azure, you can deploy your web application in the North America. So it would be your web application and it would be running close to your customers and users. So they would get less latency, right? So the web application and the users are also in North America. So it would take less time to get the response back. So with cloud computing, you can achieve less latency. So this goes like this: low latency, faster response; high latency, slower response. So, so with cloud computing, less latency is possible. Next is agility. Agility means how fast you can deploy your resources and web applications. So it's very easily. All you have to do with just clicks, go to Azure website, just few clicks and few commands. You can deploy resources and deploy applications. So it's very quick. You don't need to set up any server, any operating system. It's already running in the Microsoft data center. All you have to do is just create, specify the configuration of what type of server you need, and just click create, and the server will be created for you, and you can then deploy your application. So it's very quick. So agility stands for how fast you can deploy your web application and resources. So it's very quick. So with cloud computing, you achieve agility. Now one more term is now one more benefit is predictive cost configuration. So let's consider Azure. For Azure, whatever the resources you use for a month, you get billed based on that at the end of the month. Okay, so you want to know how much cost you will be paying at the end of the month. So you can also predict that cost. Now there is a feature in Microsoft Azure called pricing calculator. Using pricing calculator, you can predict your cost. You can specify, suppose you want to use virtual machines. So you can specify the configuration of your virtual machine, and based on that, it will give you a predictive cost. So you would know that if you run this virtual machine for 1 month, this is the cost you will be paying. This is not the very exact cost, but it's very close to the actual cost. Okay, so that's why it is a predictive cost. So you can get the predictive cost of your resources. That if you run these much resources for a month, how much cost you will have to pay at the end. So I can show you how this pricing calculator looks like. So let's have a look at that. So you can open any browser and then search for Azure pricing calculator. So with Azure pricing calculator, you can predict your cost. So the very first link is for pricing calculator. Now this is how Azure pricing calculator looks like. So here's the definition, means what we can do with pricing calculator. Configure and estimate the cost for your Azure product. So this is the self-explanatory line, means you can get the estimate cost of your resources and services. So these are the various services available which we can have a look at that. So analytics, database, container. So you can predict cost for any of the types of the services. So let's go into virtual machines because we are very much familiar with virtual machines. So let's go to virtual machine services. Now pricing calculator is loading. Now it says it has added virtual machine. So let's have a look at that. Click view. Now we are here. You can see that there are various factors associated with virtual machines. In which region we want to run our virtual machines. There are various regions available. So currently let's just select West US. Then the type of the operating system you want in your virtual machine, either Linux or Windows. Then the type, what is it OS, or you want SQL Server already installed in that machine. So just OS. Now then there are different tier, basic and standard. Then there is categories. There are different types of virtual machines. Either you want compute optimized, means compute power will be more in the general purpose. It's a balanced type of virtual machine. Means compute and memory will be balanced. If you want memory optimized, so RAM will be more compared to vCPU. So these are the different types of categories available. These are the different VM series, and this is the instance type. So suppose we will be running 2 vCPU and 8 GB RAM and the 50 GB of hard disk. So the amount of cost you will have is $0.2 per hour. So you can see based on the different types of machines, like for 32 vCPU and 128 GB RAM and 800 GB of hard disk storage, we will have to pay $3 per hour. Okay, so this is based on the different types of instances and the hard disk space. Now there comes the saving option. Suppose we are choosing pay as you go, means on demand. So means we will be using and we will be paying. But you can also reserve your instances. So with Microsoft, you can have an agreement that you will be using this virtual machine for at least 1 year. So if you made that agreement, you will get 32% discount. So see the sudden change which it got. We were using pay as you go. So we had the cost of $152 per month. Means we will be paying $152 per month for this virtual machine. Now, if I select 1 year, means I'm giving commitment to Microsoft that I'll be using this virtual machine for 1 year. So I will get 32% discount. So if I select that, now I'll be paying just $125. Okay. Now, if I make a commitment that I'll be using this virtual machine for 3 years, so I will get a whopping discount of 57%. So which is huge, right? If I select that, I'll just have to pay monthly cost of $104. So based on the different aspects, the cost changes. So let's get back to pay as you go. I- These options are mostly suitable for the large organizations. I mean, they have the resources running. We as a normal user, we don't like to make commitments for this much years. Okay, for large organizations, these commitments are beneficial to help them reduce the cost. Now then there is a OS. With Windows, we all know that license is associated. Windows is a licensed product compared to Linux. Linux is open source. So with Windows, if you don't have license, so this cost includes the license cost. Okay, but if you already have the license in your on-premise, suppose you are already running your Windows, Microsoft Windows Server 2016 or 2019, so you already have bought the license. If you already have the license, you can use that license here, and you will have then zero cost. You don't have to pay again for the license. But if you don't have, so you can have the license included. See, if I choose hybrid benefit, am having $0 and I don't have to pay for the license here. If I again back to license included, I have to pay the cost for the license here. Okay, so this is how monthly cost change based on the different aspects. Now there are other aspects also associated with the mains disk. If I change the size of the disk, I want 256 GB of the standard HDD hard disk drive. Okay, so how many disks I want? Suppose I want one disk, so I will have to pay $163. Now, if I select SSD, SSDs are more costly. I will have to pay more, okay, for the SSD. So this is now $162. So let's back to HDD, and I don't need extra hard disk. So our cost is now $152. So based on the different aspects, the cost changes. Now see, if I choose an operating system of Linux, with Linux there is no license, so the now cost is back to $85. We won't be paying for the licenses, and the license section uh, gets closed. We don't need to have a license here. Now again for Linux also this 1 year commitment and 3 year commitments available. So see, so much cheap now. For 3 years you will be see having so much discount. So for each month you will just have to pay $37 for this Linux machine. Also, the cost gets changed on the types of the based on the region you will be deploying your resources on. So with West US, I will have to pay $37. All right. So if I change the region to, let's get to pay as you go again, so as to see the maximum difference. So I was paying $85 in West US. Now if I select another region, UK South, I will have to pay $84. See, $1 got decreased. So it's based on the region also. The cost gets changed. Suppose if I deploy my virtual machine in central India with the same configuration, I will have to pay even more less, only $76. So the cost changes based on the region because there is a different government operating in each country and regions. So based on their policies, the cost also changes. You can explore and play around the pricing calculator and do for other services also. So I hope you got the idea what is pricing calculator. We get the estimated price of what we will be paying per month. Okay, so let's get back to our presentation. So we have seen how we can predict our cost. Now next is disaster recovery. So disaster recovery is especially related to regions. Suppose my application is running in West US. and the whole region goes down. I'll be explaining the different terms like this region availability zones in the subsequent videos. Just consider for now our application is because that comes under Azure Geography. So I haven't covered that yet. So suppose our application is running in West US. Now suddenly the entire data centers, whatever data center we have in US region goes down. So now application is gone. So due to suppose any disaster, either earthquake or floods, for any reason if data center goes down, so your application is also gone. So what you can do is you can deploy your application in another region in East US also. So suppose if West US goes down, you have your application running in East US. So again, then because of disaster recovery, you have your application highly available and it is fault tolerant. So these three are related to each other. So with disaster recovery, there is always a backup in another region. So you have your primary standby running in one region. So and also you have your secondary standby. So if something happens to your primary standby virtual machine, so it will fail over to switch over to secondary standby. Your traffic now will be served by secondary standby. Now that becomes your primary standby. Okay. Now this is how disaster recovery works. Means even if the region goes down, you have your application running in another region, so you have your highly available architecture in that scenario. Now there is a security. Cloud computing, we all know, are secure because it is managed by cloud service provider. So they have the latest hardware available with them. They have the patches of operating system. They regularly get update their operating system with regular patches because patches comes with latest security. Okay, and they have also the latest hardware available with them. So and also we can use different services, security services like firewall and also other stuff. So and anti-DDoS service to protect against denial of service attacks, against SQL injection attacks we can use. Okay, so we have also various security services available. So these are all the benefits of cloud computing. Now let's see what is the difference between capex and opex. Capex stands for capital expenditure. Opex stands for operational expenditure. So the capex is the upfront spending of money on physical infrastructure. So means this is more like private cloud. Organizations set up their own data center, so they have to before using the resources they have to spend the money to buy the server. Okay, so first they spend money, then they use the resources. So they upfront spend money on physical infrastructure. Costs from capex have a value that reduces over time. So suppose buying server is a one-time process. They have bought the server, now they need to maintain the server. So maintaining a server doesn't cost exactly the same of buying the server. So suppose you bought the server for 5,000 Indian rupees. So maintain it would not require 5,000. It would require less. So cost reduces over time. Maintaining the server won't require the high amount. Now then there is operational expenditure. Operational expenditure is exactly opposite to capital expenditure. Here you don't pay upfront. You use the resources and then you pay. As it is pay as you go. So you don't need to buy any server. Servers are already present in third-party cloud providers. You use the resources and services they provide, like Azure Virtual Machines we saw. So you use the Azure Virtual Machine service. At the end of the month, you have to pay for the resource. That's it. You get billed for that. This is like electricity bill. We consume electricity, and then at the end of the month, we have to pay for the electricity, whatever we have consumed. So capital expenditure is like a private cloud, and operational expenditure relates to public cloud. Okay, it's pay as you go, and capital expenditure is you upfront spend money on physical infrastructure. So hope you understood the difference. The consumption based model. Now it is again same means pay per use. Whatever you use, you have to pay for that. So let's get to this. Cloud service providers operate on a consumption-based model, which means that end users only pay for the resources that they use. Whatever they use is what they pay for. So this is self-explanatory statement. Better cost prediction. So we see how we can predict cost using pricing calculators. Prices for individual resources and services are provided. While creating resources also, they give you the estimated cost. So you get the idea how much you will be paying. Billing is based on actual usage. Whatever you use, you just have to pay for that. No extra charges, no less charges. If you used virtual machine for 1 hour, you'll be paying for that 1 hour only. You don't pay for 2 hour or 30 minutes, etc. You use 1 hour, so pay for the 1 hour. Yes, that's it. So I think this completes our this objective domain. In the next video, we will be covering cloud services. So hope you all understood the various benefits of cloud computing and how it is beneficial for the organizations and startups. So thank you for watching. In the next video, we will be covering various cloud services. Bye.